Hello, hi. My name is Liana. I just wanted to share a story of why it was so hard for me to find a perimenopause treatment and how it ended up making me quit my career and I ended up beginning a startup. So I'll just start from the beginning. So when I was working for tech. I had a pretty good job. I have a degree in accounting by the University of Melbourne. I was doing pretty good. It's like I was on top of the world. I was working with different companies. I was working with Hewlett Packard, with Adobe. It's like I was going all over the shop. So I was going places. I was very happy. And suddenly I started forgetting my numbers. And I was working for very advanced companies and I was sharing everything that it's so important for managers. Like I needed to be on top of my numbers, I needed to share what was happening. And if you forget things, how are you going to have your career? So you're stuffed. You don't have a future. And I remember very clearly when I was, in a particular meeting, and I saw another senior executive, and she was sharing a very important story. She was sharing it, and out of the sudden, she had to put her camera uh, into pause because she was getting a hot flash. And I remember how her face, she was very fair, and I remember her face going all red and getting horrified, and then just saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like there's something wrong with my connection, da da da." And she turned off her camera. But I remember thinking, I think she's having a hot flash. And didn't think much of it because clearly, whenever sometimes you're a little bit selfish, you just think about yourself. So I was like, it's like not a big deal. But that was the beginning of me seeing how other women in tech um, had to handle it. And whenever they're trying to, to get ahead, you're already behind because you're a woman, and now you're having to do all of these things by yourself. And suddenly, perimenopause starts throwing you a curve, and you don't even know it's happening to you. So, long story short, I started, feeling a little bit anxious and forgetting things and not being able to sleep because I was getting I wasn't getting hot flushes. I was just getting a really bad night's sleep. And we all know when you get a very bad night's sleep, you're going to forget completely about what you were doing. So in the end, I went to see my GP and I said, "Hey, there's something not right." And then she goes, "Oh, well, we're going to do some tests. We're going to check if you have perimenopause." But the reality is we're all gone through it. Come back and talk to me in 1 year after your period completely stops. So I just left the doctor's office. I went like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'll just put up with that. And I kept making mistakes at work. And then it was really embarrassing because I was always very good with my data. It's like people would go, I would never had the need for people to quality check my work. And then I started having people going, "Oh, there's this a very basic mistake. Do you want me to check it for you?" And then at that point I was more senior. So it's embarrassing whenever you are working and then someone else is saying, "Oh, do you want me to check it for you?" Anyway, and then I went back to see the doctor again and with the results like a few months later, and she said, yeah, you have perimenopause, it's completely normal, don't worry about it, come back a year after your period has completely stopped. And then I went like, okay. And I went like, what am I going to do in the meantime? It's like is there anything else? It's like, anything else you want to share with me? It's like, no, you'll be fine, it's like it happens to all of us, it's normal, don't be worried. And I was like, right, fine. So I went back to work, um, and I started, it starts eating into your confidence that you are presenting and you're making mistakes. And so I started making little post-its and notes behind everything that I was doing and taking screenshots. And actually, I had, as you can see in my board, I actually had the org chart printed of people that I was working with. I didn't have it here. I had it behind so that I could remember the name of the leaders, because it's the name of someone is so important. And if you forget their names, what are you going to do? It's like you can't just go, hey, remember that guy? It's like, oh, who? The CEO? It's like, yeah, that one. It's like, it's terrible. So anyway, I just went like, right. Okay, so I did a lot of research, and I went into the Perimenopause Society of Australia website, because I said, like, I have to do something. So I went into the Perimenopause Society of Australia, and then I googled, and they said that you could actually talk to a specialist and a endocrinologist that would be able to help you. And I went like, right, got it. By this time, my GP in Australia, if you live in Australia, your GP can give you a referral. That means that the government is going to give you um, some money back from a very expensive appointment. So it was $800 the first appointment, but I was going to get nothing back from the government because my GP didn't give me a referral. But I was dying, so I just went, stuff it. I'm going to go and see the endocrinologist. So I went to see the endocrinologist, and that was fun. He said, "Oh yeah, it's normal. You're in perimenopause. I'm gonna give you some herbal teas because you're not in perimenopause completely." So he sent me off with some teas, remifemin, I think it was, and I tried it. I felt good for like, I don't know, a day. I honestly, I wanted it to work, and I started taking it, and then nothing. And I was going like, this is not working. And then had another 6 months of me having to wait, and then I went like, this is not working. In the meantime, continue to be making mistakes, getting stress is starting to go up. And then I went like, I actually showed up because I have a daughter. I showed up to a birthday party on the wrong day. It was on a Saturday, and I showed up to the place on a Sunday. And if there is something that can break your heart, is the little face of child saying, "Sorry, kid, I got the wrong day." And it was very hard. It was really hard. Whenever you can't function to that level, it was very difficult. So anyway, I said like, no, I have to do something about this. It's like, okay, the GP said nothing. I went to the endocrinologist, and then they told me, it's like, come back later. And I'm going like, okay, no, I have to do something. And it's like, because this is not normal. And I actually remember talking to my manager at the time and saying, hey, something is not right. It's like I'm forgetting things. And I remember him saying, just giving me like very concerned looks and going like, I don't see it. It's like, no, you're fine. You're okay. Don't worry about it. But I knew I wasn't fine. I knew I was not remembering. I knew I was on the back foot all the time. So anyway, I ended up um, trying. I was talking to a friend, um, and she said, "Oh, there's this naturopath. They're going to give you these naturopath things, and then you're going to be trying it." Like, all right, I'll give it a go to the naturopath. And so I went to the naturopath, and she gave me all of these supplements. Again, I tried them. I was really hoping that it would work. And then again, I was kind of works. It's like I was feeling a little bit better, but it didn't really work for me. And so that was, and it's scary because you don't know what you want. And then you start investigating, and then you're reading all of this misinformation online, and then you don't know what is going to happen. So I just went like, okay, all right, this is not going to work again. So I really tried it, and still, it starts eating onto you. You start forgetting things, and then your boss, your manager goes, is like, oh, maybe you're not very organized. Maybe I have a great idea. It's like, why don't you talk to this another coworker? She's very good at productivity. She can, like, they were generally trying to help me, and then they'll give me productivity books, and sending me with a young coworker who was very disciplined and very organized, and she was showing me how she's organizing her information. Like, yeah, I still have a good method, but it's not. That's not it. That's not the problem. The problem is not how I'm getting organized. There's something that is not working. And I didn't realize that it was the brain fog, that you can't remember things and you are trained to work in a certain way. Anyway, I'm very resourceful and I'm very stubborn. So I just went like, I have to do something. So in Australia, in Sydney, the state of New South Wales, have had a women's health expo. And I saw that the Perimenopause Society of Australia was going to have a stand. So I just went, right, I'm going to go into the stand and I'm going to take a look at it and see if someone can help me. So I went there, I spoke with them, and then I told them that I had gone to see a GP and then explained, well, the GPs are very stressed. Not everyone has the time to get retrained for perimenopause. It's like there's not enough GPs in Australia, to be fair. Um, but then the chronologist should have not given you this particular tea. And I said, all right. It's like, could you give me the name of the endocrinologist? And I just went like, I don't want him get into trouble because I'm no snitch. So I just went like, I don't remember. Well, sometimes it's useful that that you can have brain fog and you're not going to rat out someone. So I said that I didn't remember. And what I end up doing was she told me, well, there's this particular GP, she's very good. Go and talk to her. So I ended up having to call, and I got the appointment. And a few months later, I ended up getting hormone replacement therapy. And a few months back, after adjusting the dosage, and like even when I told my GP this story, the one that he was training perimenopause, she told me, I'm listening to you, and I feel like crying. I felt like crying too, because it was horrible. So I ended up getting um, the right hormone replacement therapy, but it was horrible. It was really difficult. And I'm saying this as if it was not a big deal, but it was actually 2 years that took me end to end, from when I started having problems with my memory to when I tried different things to when I actually felt better. And then, to add insult to injury, I something was still not working. Something was like really going amiss. And a family friend, we had a family loss, and I got really upset. So in some very good companies, you get an employee assistance program, so you can talk to a psychologist about it. So I went and I talked to someone, and when I was talking to the psychologist about that loss, I the psychologist said, actually, I think you have ADHD. And I just went like, what is ADHD? And it's like, yeah, she was very clever. And I'm not saying that she picked that up at the first session. Actually, it took me a few sessions, and then she was like, yeah, I'm actually thinking that you have ADHD. And I didn't know that perimenopause changes can unearth an underlying ADHD problem. I actually thought that everyone just behaved the way that I did, or managed the way that I did. So, for instance, something as very simple as my ring. I didn't realize that I fidget with rings, and that's why I always like big rings. And I didn't know that was a thing. Um, and kind of everything clicked in. So that was another kettle of fish of trying to get the ADHD diagnosis. And it took me a further almost a year to get a diagnosis um, on ADHD. Not even a treatment, just the diagnosis. And in the meantime, you also have this shock of what could have been. What could have been of me had I known earlier? And it was very disconcerting, and it messes with your mind, and you don't sleep well, and you're all over the shop. Anyway, long story short, I was doing well. Like in total, all of these took about 4 years. Okay. So during those 4 years, I was working in IT, trying to continue my career because you have to, have an income and you work so hard for your career. You don't just do that. But after a natural break that I had, and I was very lucky, like, don't take me wrong, I was working with amazing companies and I had amazing resources and people that I call my friends today. And I love working with them. I love working with, Hewlett Packard and with Adobe and Pegasystems and LinkedIn. So I was very privileged and very honored, and I had a massive privilege that I was able to to get access to the right um, psychologist, to the right doctors, and I'm highly educated. So credit to a lot of people that helped me in the process, and also, sheer stubbornness that I think ADHD gives you as well. So long story short, I just went, that was horrendous to take that long and to figure it out how to get diagnosed. And I know a lot of people would have given up on the way because it's almost impossible to get the right diagnosis. So I decided, you know what, I don't want anyone, especially like, I think that there's a lot of people that are in the media that haven't, that they're talking about ADHD early in their lives, or whenever someone talks about ADHD, they talk about kids. They're not thinking about some adults, especially women, that when you get diagnosed and when it's happening to you at the, later in your career. So you're already working so much to try to get ahead as a woman, and then to get the ADHD diagnosis and to have the brain fog, because that is also a part of that, and not being able to function and not be able to understand yourself. So I decided to start. It's something, a concept that is called a social enterprise. I want to try to see if I can help others. So I decided to start a company. It's called Train of Thought. I'm doing trials at the moment. I'm trying to find out if there's a way that women, or people that are having ADHD or or brain fog due to either perimenopause or ADHD, how they can help themselves, like a little bit of respite, so that they can function at a bare minimum. I ended up doing that for myself, and I learned a lot, and I'm super stubborn, and I'm like I said, I'm highly educated. I had 2 master's degree by the University of Melbourne, and I was educated in Mexico City in a private university. I'm very, very fortunate that that I'm stubborn, but also that I've been trained to how to do research. So I think those are my strengths. So I think I can help the conversation and try to make life a little bit easier and reassure people that they're not alone. They're not the only ones at a very scary time. And so that's how. That's a very long way to say why I quit a career in tech, because I was doing interviews for about 6 months, and then I went and then I thought about it and I said, you know what, I want to help others, because I don't think it's fair that women have to just put up with things, and they're left to their own devices for 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years, and some women don't even make it. So, and that has huge implications, because women, when you're not functioning, you could be made redundant. You could actually reduce the number of hours that you're taking. You could take part-time roles, and all of those things have an impact down the road. And women are not going to be, you already retire less because we're having children. We're supposed to be the carers, but if you add this complexity into it, I think that we could try to help. So there it goes. That's why I'm going live. That's why I'm trying to do this. And and then we'll see how we go. And I'll be sharing moving forward and talking with all of you um, every day. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Thank you. Bye.